You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 157. So now what? These three words raced through my mind time and time again during my journey through fertility treatments. I tried desperately to have a child, but never was able. I yearned for a community to join that could understand my struggles. I couldn't find one, so I created one with the So Now What podcast. I love that you found us. Hello. So glad to have you here today and ready to listen to another episode of the podcast. Before I get too far into it, I want to make sure that you know that I am giving away 10 free signed copies of my upcoming book called So Now What. If you have any desire to get a copy of this book, which I'm going to talk about a little bit further in this episode, I just want to make sure that you heard it here first. You can go to the show notes. I will put a link so that you can sign up to get your free signed copy of my upcoming book. And then also, if you're connected with me on social media, either Instagram or TikTok, you can go into my bios on either of those platforms. You will see my link tree, click on my bio and sign up to get a free copy of this amazing resource that is going to change your life. I've been telling everyone it's the resource that I felt like I needed when I left fertility treatments without a child and I could not find. So it is coming out in April. I'm so flippin' stoked about it, but make sure that you sign up to get one of your free copies. Okay, let's get on with it today because we are going to talk about something that is so prominent for women who are childless after infertility. And it's the concept of, if not now, when? You've probably had so many thoughts about what you could do, what you've told yourself that you should do, that a vacation sounds good, that this house project would be nice, a new hobby could be fun. But when it comes to actually doing it, the energy just is not there. And I want to talk about why is it so hard to start? So if this sounds familiar, you are not alone. I hear this all the time from the women that I work with in Thrive After Infertility. This is the type of work that we do in Thrive. And I want to just dig deeper into it because it just came up. Literally earlier today, I was coaching a client and she had this list of things that she wanted to do, but just wasn't doing them. So let's talk about that because for so long, you have been living in a holding pattern. You didn't plan vacations. You didn't say yes to girls' weekends because you were waiting. You're waiting to see whether you'd be in the midst of a cycle, waiting to see if maybe you'd be pregnant, waiting to see if you would have a child by then. And now here you are, probably at least several months, maybe some years out of treatments. And it still feels hard to feel like you're in your life again. Like you've got this groove and this rhythm and a plan. And you really want to, but somehow there's something that's keeping you stuck. So today I'm going to talk about the three most common reasons why this happens, why you want to start something, but you're feeling paralyzed when it comes to actually doing it. And the first reason is fear. Deep down, planning for a future can feel as though you are finally admitting that you are truly done trying for motherhood. That's it. Like the door's closed and it feels terrifying because for so long you had hope. You had reason to believe that your life would eventually shift in the direction that you dreamed of. And now when you decide to move forward and actively choose to make plans, it can feel like you are betraying that dream. Like this acknowledgement that you wanted so bad to be a mom is just like poof, it's gone. And it feels like you're almost turning your back on yourself and all that you tried. And that's heavy. And the second reason, nothing seems as meaningful as motherhood was supposed to be. I mean, if I had $1 for every time I thought about that, you tell yourself, like, what's the point? Sure, remodeling my bathroom or a trip to wine country might be nice, but it's not the same as raising a child. So you just don't do it. So it's almost like you're boycotting the things that could bring you joy because they aren't. It's almost like you're boycotting the things that could bring you joy because they aren't the thing you really wanted. And I get it. Like, you're like, what could really match up to motherhood? And I want to challenge you. What are we matching up against? Motherhood is not in our lives with our own biological children. So as long as you tell yourself that nothing is going to be as good as motherhood would have been, then you're basically creating this false dream of what motherhood was going to be like for you. You don't know what motherhood would have been like if you had a kid. I'm sure that there's moms that you could talk to whose life is so different than they thought it was going to be as moms. And they didn't think that they'd have certain challenges and obstacles and all these things. So we take all the rosy, bright, beautiful parts of motherhood that we've ever heard of, and we create a baseline from there, not knowing, had we become mothers, what our lives have been like that. So it's basically you creating this image of something that didn't happen and always comparing up against it. Okay. And that's just not helpful. And finally, the third reason, you don't know where to start. It all feels overwhelming. And when everything feels big and uncertain, it's so easy to tell yourself that now is just not the right time. But if not now, when? So I told you, I worked with a client earlier today, and this is exactly the challenge that she's working through. She has these desires to do more things and accomplish these goals, but there's nothing on a calendar. There's no timeline to it. It's just these things keep showing up and being like, yeah, I want to do these things, but there just never seems to be a timeline of when it's going to happen. So when things feel uncertain, it's easy to tell yourself that now just isn't the right time. But if not now, when? So what we did, she had things she wanted to do. She wanted to remodel the bathroom. She wants to plant a garden, and she wants to travel more with her husband. But she was stuck in that cycle of someday. She knows she wants to have it done, but she's not sure when. So we mapped it out. What did she truly want? What was priority to her? What mattered most? When did she think she could do these things? And we created a plan, and one that felt really doable. And she really felt excited. She was like, okay, like I like this. And we talked about the fact, like, let's just put it on paper, because the longer you say, I want to do it, and don't really know when you're going to do it, it's going to keep you ignoring your desires. And the more you reinforce your belief that you don't know how to fill your time, you're not going to fill your time. So this is the type of work that I do in the Thrive After Infertility Mastermind. And one of the pillars of the program is all about owning your time. Because when you start realizing that it is up to you to decide how you're going to fill every minute of your day, because those milestones of motherhood aren't there to automatically chip hours out of your day and out of your weeks and out of your month, and you're the one filling your time, you need to start making intentional decisions about how you want to spend it. And when you do that from a place of commitment to yourself and not comparison into this dream of what you thought motherhood was going to be like, everything is going to start to shift. So if you're ready to shift, I want you to make sure that you recognize what are the things that are of priority to you, put a timeline to them. And if you want to talk about it more, I think you should enter to win a copy of my book, or buy the book if you're reading this after the book is already launched, because there's a whole chapter inside dedicated to planning your future, learning how to move forward in a way that feels meaningful and feels fulfilling. So again, you can enter to win the book at my show notes. And if you're ready to start planning your future, book a free Thrive call. Let's talk. Let's get clear on what is next for you, because you don't have to stay in this place of waiting. The time to start is now, because if not now, when? So I hope you have a beautiful week. I love you. And remember that it's never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week. Hey, real quick, I just wanted to tell you about an awesome resource I created. If you have ever found yourself in conversations with people, or maybe people offering you suggestions about what you should do to become a mom, it's called the Top 27 Things People Say When You're Childless and How to Respond. You can get your copy free at lanamanikowski.com/thingspeoplesay.